just dropped our luggages off here at the JR East Met's Gotanda and are about to go to Shinjuku to check out some watches, finally. I don't know what to expect. I haven't actually looked up what stores there are, but I'm hoping to find like Tudors, Rolex, IWC, Longines. I saw that there has been 3 new Longines Legend Diver releases yesterday, the 39mm. I really like the orange dial. I think they call it the terracotta dial. This very cool orange that reminds me of the Rolex GMT Master 2, the old root beer with the jangly Jubilee bracelet. I hope that they have that in stock, but I'm gonna go try to find one. Shinjuku is 6 stations away from Gotanda, and because our hotel was right in the station, the whole trip didn't take all that long. Or that was what we were expecting, given what Google Map told us. You see, getting on the train at Gotanda was the easy part. But when we got off at Shinjuku Station, yes, we are now in Shinjuku, but my god, the station is at least twice the size of my college campus. It was impossible to find our way out of the station, and Google Map was no help given that the station was 3 to 4 stories in some areas. The upside was the station had various large stores in it, and I made a quick stop by the bookstore. I've owned a few Japanese watch magazines before, and I'm looking to bring a few more home. I found a large section in the lifestyle aisle and bought a couple. We'll be going through these at the end of the video. Half an hour later after arriving in Shinjuku, we finally exited the station and headed for our first destination, Don Quijote. Don Quijote is a colossal supermarket chain known for selling everything to anything, watches included. However, this location was quite disappointing. They only had Omegas. Feel free to pause the video to see the watches, but I left pretty quickly. It looked like they couldn't give these things away. The first real watch store I visited was Okura. They're an established chain here in Japan, carrying an impressive catalog of Rolex and other brands. I noticed they had both the GMT Master and GMT Master 2 in the counter and asked to try on both. Both watches are absolutely stunning. In fact, that might even be an understatement. The 16700 is supposedly 0.6mm thinner than the 16710. However, I found the 16710 wore better despite its larger size, with a slightly thicker profile giving it a more reliable feel. Here are the 2 watches side by side, and without them on the wrist, you can barely tell the difference between the 2. I also tried on the Milgauss. I previously thought this watch was too chunky, and after putting on some more weight, I still think this is the case, though to a lesser degree. I do love the way it looks, the uniqueness of the Lightning Seconds hand, but the thickness is quite apparent, and with prices of these having surged from 10k to 13 to 18,000 Canadian dollars for the GV glass blue dial, I think there are better options to consider in the market. Moving from the top shelf to the mid-range, I found a Tudor Prince Chrono 79280. This one featured a numbered indice dial with tiger marking. Pretty cool, especially on the oyster bracelet, which I think is much cooler than the 5-link for this model. I also got hands-on with my guilty pleasure watch, a Franck Muller 6A50 Casablanca, this one a Sahara model with what I like to refer to as pumpkin spiced indices. Quite an elegant profile. The blue hands was a little conflicting though. I would have much preferred the surrounds to be gold instead to match the outside of the indices, but on the wrist you barely notice it. The tonneau case wore like a dream. That was my first time ever trying on the GMT Master and the GMT Master 2, 16710 and the 16700. I really like the slimmer profile of the 16700. But I think it was also around $3,000 more than the 16710, so I don't know, I gotta think about it. And also I tried on the Milgauss, which fit me pretty well. I really like that kind of, like a bit abrasive gray dial with the orange indices on it, so I guess I add that to my list as well. Gonna head over to WatchNian to see what they got in stock. This shop was located at a 45-degree angle on one end of a very busy intersection. The Rolex display was right next to the front door and had only about 2 feet of distance between the two. I did my best grabbing footage of the watches, but found it a bit challenging with people constantly coming in and out. I'll be quite honest, although I love them, I've never paid attention to the market prices of pre-ceramic Submariners, though on the other hand, I do know modern Explorer 2s in Canada are barely trading above retail, making this range of selection they have here quite expensive in my opinion. The store had 2 floors, and B1 seemed to carry the most niche of watches and bags. I'm not usually into Omegas, but I saw a few watches that were quite unique with cool motifs. I know Omega does a ton of collabs, and if I was to ever get an Omega, I'd probably get a Speedmaster with some sort of special motif on the dial. Something like the Skylab Speedmaster 359721, although I'm not sure about the price because that's a lot to pay for a Speedmaster. There were a lot of Explorer 2s, Submariners. There were some very cool and rare Submariners. There was one with like a red text and blue dial. Very cool. Obviously crazy expensive. Also a Beach Daytona. I wanted to try on, but their shop was very surprisingly small. And so I didn't feel like it's the right thing to do because they gotta like squat in front of the entrance. That's where the Rolex owl is, and take the watches out for me. I just felt bad, but overall the staff was super friendly. I asked them if I can take pictures, and she's like, yeah, go ahead, of course, take anything you want. I actually wanted to try on the Explorer 2 for size, not the old ones, not the 16570s, but the new 42mm ones. I think if I was to get a brand new Rolex at retail, this is probably the watch that is relatively easier to get compared to the Submariners and the GMT Master 2s, but is also a bit more special compared to your Datejust and Oyster Perpetuals. I wasn't able to try it on, as I said, but hopefully at my next stop, we will be able to get hands-on with an Explorer 2 on the wrist. But right now, we're gonna go get some sushi first. 10-minute walk away from the busy part of Shinjuku, we arrived in the office district at this restaurant called Hina Sushi, in the basement of a corporate building. Service here was amazing, the food was delicious, but I wasn't too much of a hurry to really enjoy. Just finished at Hina Sushi. We had all you can eat for about 45 Canadian dollars per person. And now I'm trying to beat the clock. I've got 12 minutes to walk to this store called Best Vintage Watch Shop. It closes at 8, it's like 7:25 right now. So let's see how fast I can walk and how much time I'll get in the store. Best Vintage. They're almost closed. Okay, this is the jackpot of all watch stores here in Shinjuku. It was this 6 stories building full of watches, with B1 being the floor of interest selling used watches. Although they have lots of Explorer 2s, this wasn't the right time for me to ask to try on. I gotta see as many watches as possible before they close. A beautiful GMT Masters 1675. Look at that bezel and the patina on the lume. 63,000 Canadian for this, probably the most special watch in the store. To its right, another 1675 priced at under 30k Canadian. I'm not sure what the differences between the two are, but given the bezel on this one, I can only imagine that it's probably equipped with some service parts. The dial says it's tritium, but the lume also appears more white instead of a faded yellow. Moving over to a 1984 Sea Dweller and a very special gem set two-tone Submariner. I think this level of gem setting is very tasteful, very beautiful, and will complement its suave owner quite well. Gotta find the right owner though. A Redline Mark IV 1680 Submariner. A 1680 what seems to be a Mark I matte dial. And a 16800 with a fading bezel and patinaed indices. Over to the right, a trio of very different GMT Masters. Gemset champagne dial on the right, Tiger Eye in the middle, and a 16700 looking very pretty to the left. Which one of these would be your pick? Let me know in the comments below. Over and on to some IWC engineers. These are the earlier versions, a little dainty in my opinion, but historically significant nonetheless. The 3239 would have never came to be without them. A very cool Mark 15 in white. I've always thought IWC pilots should be on blacked out, kinda like Panerais, but seeing this example, I'm not so sure anymore. It almost looks ghosty. A black dial over to its left, the anti-reflective coating makes it almost look a bit blue. And this is my first time seeing a Nautilus, not a lie, in person. A 3800 and a 5711 in white gold. Over to a few Breguet chronographs. Seeing this now, I'm reminded of the Breitling Avi. They look very similar, and if it wasn't for the logo on the dial, I probably couldn't tell them apart. And coming back to familiar territory with the Tudor 79280. This is like the exact polar opposite of what I saw at Okura earlier. Same numeric dial in white, fitted on a 5-link bracelet. And to its right, a better looking 79280 in my opinion, a slate gray dial with stick indices and 5-link bracelet. Although with this dial, I would prefer it without the tiger text. Finishing up with a 34mm Tudor date.
If there's no GPS signal, navigation may stop working.
Just got back to the hotel, took a fresh shower, and I am super tired. It is currently 10:30 p.m. Been walking all day. I got like 22k steps. But I want to quickly show the watch books that I got from the bookstore today. You got this watch Navi IWC. That's about the only thing I can see here. But you got a bunch of brands and a lot of new releases from various brands like Panerai, IWC, AP, Cartier, Breitling, so on and so forth. I'll be doing another video showcasing the details of these books. I don't know what the copyright rule of me being in Canada showcasing Japanese books is like, but we'll deal with the consequences later. And I also picked up a couple of these that goes into detail all the various Rolex models, some history that I plan to be using Google Translate to capture and understand what exactly it is talking about. You can see here it showcases like the previous models without the crown guard, with the crown guard, the Oyster Perpetual. I think this is the 39. I am sweating right now because it is quite warm in the room. The AC isn't on. Where's the AC? Okay, I gotta turn the AC on. I gotta figure out how. But yeah, I'll quickly go through a couple of these. Like you can see, it's like old Rolex models versus new ones, and I think some of them have people in them talking about the story of how they became acquainted with the watch that they wear on the daily. So yeah, I got me 5 books. In total it was like 70 Canadian dollars, but it was super worth because I think with these Japanese books you can see the pictures a lot better. The write-up also compared to like, I don't want to call people out, but like certain North American magazine, you guys already know which one it is. They use low-res stock images and try to stretch it out for a full page. Not that they're bad, but I just feel like these ones, I don't know, something about them. It's got that X factor, you know. Also, quick thing I'm gonna drop in here. From all the watches that I tried on today and saw in person, there's this one watch that has really got me thinking, okay, I need to probably make some room in my current collection to try to add it into my collection. It's just that cool of a watch. And no, it's not the 16710, it's something else. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode where I think I will be going to Nakano to see what the watches there and the prices are like.